Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. The Canada Super Spelling Bee makes its triumphant return here to Ottawa. Of course, like many things, put off during the pandemic, but it is coming back, and here to tell us more about it and about his experience in the Spelling Bee. I'm joined by Jaden Zhang. He is the youth education organizer with the Spelling Bee. Welcome.
Yes.
Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's awesome to be here.
Let's talk about this organization and, sort of what this really means. I mean, this is something that's been going on for many years. It's pretty special to have it here in the nation's capital, which you do every year, right?
Yes, we do this every year. Typically, we had our first one, 2019, 2018 about.
Okay.
Big one, we had a bunch of schools at Immaculata High School where we had from all over Canada come and do the national spelling bee, right? But then exactly after that, we had COVID hit, so we had to go straight onto online. Okay. That also helped us a lot with doing international as along with national spelling bees and stuff. So now we're back into going in-person events, and it's just awesome to be here, yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. You've experienced this before. You've competed. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, so basically, the brief story I give to everyone, because it's a long and winding one, but the brief one is kind of when I was in grade 5, so about 2016, a little bit around that time, I had my teacher who was like, oh, there's a spelling bee, come join us. Won the school spelling bee just by chance, kind of just spelling my way through.
What do you mean by chance? You're competing against other people. Of course you obviously were good at it.
Yeah, to a certain degree, I knew what I was spelling, right? So,
okay.
But I hadn't actually learned what true spelling bee was, and I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But I learned some words, did the spelling bee, school spelling bee, got through. And then we had the regionals, so I had to go against the region and Greater Toronto area, right? Did my spelling bee, and once again by chance, because I hadn't actually learned much about spelling bee, I won through that.
Okay.
And that's when I truly got to Scripps National Spelling Bee, which is the big one in Washington, D.C. This is like the international one.
Gotcha.
Where they have like originally 11 million spellers from all over the world, and then they kind of cut it down to like 300 or 400, where I went to that. So that was an awesome experience. This is where I actually got to kind of meet a bunch of other spellers, which was really fun.
Nice.
And then first time, I went 3 times in total.
Okay.
First time was, I got like 200th place or something out of like 500 spellers.
Okay.
Not great, didn't know what I was doing. But then slowly, as I went along, it was like 50th place, and then I ended with 42nd place just before finals, semifinals. It was a little bit unfortunate not to get all the way, but it was still an awesome experience in general, and yeah. And
well, yeah,
there.
and think of it this way: you're like 42nd out of 11 million, Jaden, not just 500 or 400, or you know what I mean? Like that's
true.
That's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty special. So yeah, you walked us through that process. So, but what is the process like for preparing and studying for a spelling bee?
Right. So for spelling bees in general, this is where I come in with the idea of like what an actual spelling bee is, right? We have the actual competition, but for preparing for it, a lot of people don't know, but one of our coaches at Canada Super Spelling Bee always says English is kind of like a weasel. It kind of steals and takes a little bit from a lot of different languages, right? So we take a lot from Latin and Greek specifically, and especially German, Italian, all of those. Like you may see it in a lot of the words we see, like Neolithic or bioluminescence. Those are words that are from like Greek or Latin. When you're preparing for a spelling bee, it's not just memorizing your word list, right? Because later on you'll have off-list words, which are words that you've never prepared for, you've never seen. Or you might have seen, but if you're reading a book, but otherwise won't have seen.
Gotcha.
And this is where you have to practice using your language of origins, which is you have to learn a lot of different language types, language rules, patterns.
Wow.
So for example, like in German, if you get a German word, you know the Volkswagen, like Volkswagen.
Yeah, Volkswagen.
The W, exactly. It's a V. It's a spelling sound, as well as there's a lot of different sounds. Like there's a lot of root words, which is a really important concept.
Okay.
Where, for example, in Greek, any word that's taken from Greek, not in Greek, the language, but like English takes the word from Greek, and then we have the word Neolithic, right? Neo means new, and you have lithic or lith means rock. So Neolithic, new rock, new Stone Age. That's literally the word. So once we know it, you can apply neo to any word, lithic to any word. It's just, that's kind of the idea of spelling bee in its core.
That's amazing. So what are the guidelines that, like, once you're competing, right? Doesn't matter what level you're competing at, whether it's regional, national, international. What are the guidelines that you have to stick to during competition?
Right, of course. So there's always the guidelines for the spelling bee. When we get there, students always try to ask, because they can always ask questions when they get the word, right? So you go up there. they say, okay, hello, say greet the pronouncer, and the pronouncer is going to give you the word. They're going to say Neolithic, just the word I'm going to use for now.
Yeah.
Speller says, okay, this is my word. Now they have a few questions they can ask. They can ask for the word to be pronounced again. They can ask for any alternate pronunciations, because some words may have multiple pronunciations.
Okay.
They can ask definition, part of speech, language of origin, like I said, and then a sentence. So these are the main questions that they can ask in the guidelines per se.
Gotcha.
We have a lot of spellers who kind of ask the pronouncer to spell the word, and we always have to say, no, sorry, we can't do that.
It's clever though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
At least they're giving it a shot. I mean, I'll give them credit for that. That's for sure. What's the most common question that someone might ask? Is there one?
Most common question, every speller kind of has their own ritual, kind of like in actual sports, right? They have a ritual. But for spellers, they have a ritual of questions they ask. So typically the first one they always ask is, may I have the definition? That's always the one. Because if you have a word that you might not have heard very clearly, or you have your root words, if you hear this word means the New Stone Age, Neolithic, Neo means new, Lithic means rock, you can just straight up guess it from Greek. So always definition. Definition is like the solid one.
Okay. The national competition's coming up. So what can people expect? Like, do people attend and watch? I mean, is it open to the public?
Yeah. So for our national competition, that's happening at the Nepean Sportsplex.
Yeah.
Where we'll have basically all the students, all the spellers will be invited, any of their parents as well, and it's also open to the public. So if anyone from the public really wants to come see it, we highly invite them to come and join us, as well as any schools who are interested checking it out. We've let a lot of the schools. This year's registration was free for a lot of the schools, so they can send as many students for doing their school B and then the top 3. And yeah, it's open to any spellers, of course, and any of the public in general. Yeah.
I love it. Amazing. And then you do coaching and debate competitions and that kind of thing as well, right? Through the Canada Super Spelling Bee organization.
Yeah.
How do people find out more information about that if they're interested?
Yeah. So for Canada Super Spelling Bee, our tutoring programs, that's on our website. So canadaspellingbee.com. If you want to check that out, that's where we kind of give them a lot of different courses, because we're mainly about spelling bee in this segment, but we also have a lot of different education courses.
Right, you have tutoring available and that kind of thing as
yeah.
well. Jaden, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. You've opened my eyes to the spelling.
Awesome.
I don't think I would have ever competed. The National Spelling Bee Championship, Saturday, May 27th at the Nepean Sportsplex. We'll be back with more after this.